Hey y'all. With Legends ZA coming out in a few weeks, I'm currently prepping my content for then, so I didn't have any time to get something out this week. So today, I bring you a compilation of the new best teams for Black and White 2 2025. So Emboar, Serprior, and Samurott are all rolled into one package. With that, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you next week with my pre-thoughts about Pokemon Legends ZA. It has been a hot minute since I've done anything best team related for Pokemon Black and White 2. As you guys know, I'm currently remastering some of my old best teams, and this time it's going to be round 3 for Pokemon Black and White 2. Last time, I claimed that Samurott was the best starter choice, and after doing some digging around, I realized maybe it's not. I'll get into that eventually once we cover the best team for Samurott again in due time. As usual though, with the remastering of these best teams, we will be covering where to find each Pokemon for the team, movesets for each team member, including pre-post game tutor moves and TMs, items to use, abilities, and the ability to use pre-post legendaries if they fit the team well enough with the team's composition. Each team member is curated to the best of my abilities to take on all the important battles of Unova 2, such as the Gym Leaders, Hugh, Zinzalon and crew, Getsis, the Elite Four members, and Iris. With that said though, let's hop into Emboar. Emboar is an absolute powerhouse in the early portion of the game, doing decently against the first several gym leaders all the way until Clay, while also being able to shatter Zinzalon as well. Emboar is definitely going to struggle in our last 4 gyms though, before becoming decent enough against multiple Elite Four members like Grimsley. But we'll need to give it a good enough moveset to help it as much as possible against these later gyms it'll struggle against. With our moveset of Rock Slide, Hammer Arm, Heat Crash, and Scald, we can make Emboar into as strong of an option as possible. Now, I'm not sure which move is better here. Flamethrower or Heat Crash. Flamethrower is consistent damage across the board, while Heat Crash is based more around Emboar's weight going up against certain opponents. With Hammer Arm, Heat Crash, or the Flamethrower option, we can get these moves via level up. If you want to use Flamethrower, I would use Heat Crash until it gets it at level 43. Rock Slide and Scald will be the TMs we'll get on our journey. Rock Slide will be available in Mistraltine Cave, and Scald is obtainable after defeating Marlin. The item in question this time around is going to be the Charcoal, which can be found in Castelia City on the 47th floor of the building near Route 4. Emboar will need some counters, mostly against Clay, Skyla, and Caitlyn, but it is more than possible to check these particular gyms. One of the Pokemon who can easily check multiple gyms Emboar is weak to is Magneton. We'll be using specifically Magneton here over Magnezone to utilize the item Eviolite, which will make Magneton feel a lot bulkier thanks to the added bulk due to Magneton not being fully evolved. We'll catch our Magnemite after getting to Verbank Complex. Be sure to also capture a Magnemite with Sturdy, as I think it's the best ability for it in this go around. We won't need Magneton in most Elite Four options, but even just using Magneton for Skyla and Marlin will be a huge deal for our Emboar. With a moveset of Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Toxic, and Flash Cannon, this will be a strong bulky pivot for our team that can weaken most enemies. Flash Cannon will be a level up move in these games, which is pretty amazing, as the TM is normally only available during the post-game. Thunderbolt will need to wait until beating Hugh in Victory Road, while Volt Switch is obtainable from beating Elesa. Volt Switch pretty much works like this. By having Switch mode enabled, Volt Switch will have you pivot into another Mon on the team. Once you do, the Switch mode text will appear, and from there, you can swap back out to Magneton. Hopefully, Magneton can OHKO the opponent, and the Toxic TM can be found in the Seaside Cave. Thunder Wave is also another option if you want to cripple speed threats, and that can be learned at level 17 as a Magnemite. I can see that being pretty useful for a mon such as Bergsley Vanny. I mentioned we can get the Eviolite for Magneton, and this will be an option we can also get in Castelia by just seeing 40 unique mons. Magneton should help quite a bit, and we'll just need to look in the options for Clay, as currently our team will struggle quite a bit with this battle. If you find Magneton to be a little tedious to use with the Volt Switch strat, Galvantula is always a good option as well, especially if you can land the Compound Ice Thunder. Joltik is found in Chargestone Cave and evolves into Galvantula at level 34. The Thunder TM can be found in the Lockanusa Pokemon Center for purchase. For a brief moveset, I go Thunder, Signal Beam learned at level 34, Thunder Wave learned as a Joltik that you might have to move relearn, and Energy Ball for coverage, which is obtained via surfing across a pond literally right next to your house. I wanted Magneton because I like the extra bulk it provides with the Eviolite. But if you want more speed and never missing Thunders, Galvantula could be your option too. In fact, I'm starting to think Galv could be the better option, to be honest. But I will leave that choice to you. I like giving you guys multiple options to pick from. We'll probably want a bulky water type on this team due to, outside of Elesa, a water type is very difficult to defeat. One of the best options is easily going to be Vaporeon, which we can capture in the Castelia sewers as an Eevee. We'll need to get the Water Stone on Route 19, and we can utilize this to immediately evolve our Eevee. We'll teach it Surf, Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, and Toxic, which should give it a decent offensive matchups into most teams, with Toxic being a strong utility option for it. Surf will become available while playing the story, with Ice Beam being a late game option we get from Giant Chasm. Shadow Ball is obtainable from behind the Strange House near Reversal Mountain, and thankfully, Toxic is already being pursued for our previous Mon. Because, unfortunately, a lot of Vaporeon's best moves are locked to egg moves. At the very least though, we still have one of the best defensive water types possible, so I think repeating this TM makes a lot of sense here. Unfortunately, due to Ice Beam's later availability, it will not be available for the Drayden fight, so Blizzard will have to suffice for that. That TM can be found in the same location as Thunder in the Lacanosa Pokemon Mart section. As for our item, we'll get the leftovers from Castelia sewers, which should help Vaporeon with keeping itself as healthy as possible. This should be a powerful partner to take on Clay, which will be huge for our first two options on the team especially. Our fourth option is going to help with Emboar's weakness to Caitlyn, while also giving us a faster option than we currently have in the form of Krookodile. Krookodile is a powerful option we can get in the desert on Route 4, which will teach Crunch, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Aerial Ace. We're already getting Rock Slide for other entries on the team, while Crunch and Earthquake are both moves you get via level up, and Aerial Ace can be obtained in Mistralton after defeating Skyla. The Krookodile line will be massive against gyms like Elesa, while even being a surprisingly helpful option against some of Clay's Pokemon like Excadrill. Krookodile is a very difficult Pokemon to defeat in these games outside of Marlin and Marshall, making it a serious threat to consider since it has a lot of neutral or favorable opponents in these games. For our item, we'll get the Soft Sand in the Desert Resort while getting your Sandile, which should help a lot with Krookodile's damage from its best stab option. As for abilities, Intimidate and Moxie are both monstrous options for it. I would personally run Moxie for a run-up in attack, but Intimidate can provide use as well by killing off the physical attacks of some pretty powerful physical opponents. Another Desert Resort encounter we will need is going to be Sigilyph, and if you're a veteran of my channel, this should be no surprise to you at all. I feel like this will be a huge option to round out weaknesses the types like Ground and Fighting found in multiple options we previously selected, and it's fairly accessible early on before gyms like Clay as well. With a moveset of Air Slash, Psychic, Energy Ball, and Flash Cannon, we can dominate a majority of opponents with ease. Psychic and Air Slash are level up moves for Sigilyph, and Flash Cannon is a TM that you can find in Twist Mountain on the Icarus City side. You'll be giving Sigilyph the Expert Belt, which we can get from Driftville, showing the guy in the market a level 30 or higher Pokemon. This will help plenty, as you'll hit a high number of enemies such as Marlin and Marshall for super effective damage, making the most of your moveset. For abilities, I would shoot for Magic Guard, as this makes it pretty much immune to non-damaging attacks. For our final teammate, we have to feature a strong but underrated grass type that happens to fix a couple of big issues this team has, with the biggest being its speed. We are going to pursue a Lilligant, which you can catch in Castelia City. You can find a trainer in Route 4 who can trade you one if you're playing Black 2, as Cottony is technically a version exclusive to White 2 outside of this trade. You'll find your Sunstone to evolve Petlil in the house above the Nimbasa Pokemon Center on the second floor. And while you can wait for Leaf Storm, I'd recommend just teaching Petlil Giga Drain at level 26 or by teaching it the Energy Ball TM. From there, I would evolve it at level 28, because at level 28, it happens to get Quiver Dance. These are your main moves, while you'll also keep Sleep Powder. which it should have upon obtaining Petlil either from catching or trading it. For your final move, I'd recommend Hyper Beam as a truly last-ditch effort to handle Skyla, Drayden, and Iris if you truly need it. Your other 3 moves should honestly be plenty though, as Lilligant can set up on most resistances and sweep teams of Giga Drain, keeping it constantly healthy due to how much damage you're dealing. Your best items going to be the Miracle Seed, which you can get from Castelia City in the park. Now, something I thought of while looking over the script is the possibility of Starmie, Walrein, or Lapras. I really liked how the script was sounding so far, so I didn't mention it earlier. But I realized halfway going through the script that Lilligant covered Clay. So realistically, the early water type isn't particularly necessary, but it has its uses. By having Starmie as an option, you have a speed machine that has almost every piece of coverage in the book. Walrein and Lapras also help with their ice stabs. The 3 of these mons are all available before facing off against Drayden as well. The downside with Starmie is that Blizzard can miss, and if Starmie gets hit, it could faint on the spot. Lapras might be the best option here though, due to getting Ice Beam via level up. I primarily decided on Vape though, so the team wouldn't have the extra ice weakness, and I love having that extra bulk around at an earlier time. But all in all, it's up to you on how you want to do this. For remaining HMs, I recommend Meryl that teach it options like Strength, Waterfall, and Dive to beat the game. As far as legends go, there aren't really any worth pursuing here, despite some of the Swords of Justice being available, as they'd probably have to replace Emboar, which just isn't worth doing. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on this team though, and if you guys have any ideas on how to improve this further, let me know in the comments below, as I would love to hear them. While you're going down there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss our other starters we cover in the future. Welcome back to another installment of the Best Team series. We've already covered the Emboar and Serprior teams, so naturally today we're covering Samurott. When creating a best team, I find the 5 best Pokemon I can to help our starter conquer their said games. I provide movesets, where to find said Pokemon, and even recommend held items. As long as the Pokemon is found pre-post game, they are fair game, including legendaries. However, egg moves are not allowed, no post-game tutor moves, alongside no trait evolutions. That's pretty much the TLDR. With that said, let's hop into Samurott. So, back in the day, I deemed Samurott the best starter for Pokemon Black and White 2, and in some sense, there is still some truth to that. The main reason I made that claim was due to the fact Black and White 2 offered little to no water Pokemon in the early to mid game. Your best option is Vaporeon for the most part, until you hit the later game where you find options like Lapras, Walrein, and Starmie. Swanna and Jellicent are both alright, but Vape outclasses their special attack by a good margin. With the Samurott line, you have a pretty decent in-game water type right off the bat. It's got 2 attacking stats, both above 100. It learns Razor Shell at level 17, and it can be pretty flexible, either being a physical or special attacker. It doesn't have Starmie speed, but at the same time, most water options in Unova 2 do not. But it's the availability that makes it worthwhile as a starter Pokemon in my opinion. With that said, this gives the player more room to experiment without having to worry about a water type. Anywho, Samurott can be argued for the best starter due to its availability as a water type and booting decent stats. But Emboar is really useful in the early game, having checks for Charon, Roxy's Venipede, Berg's team, etc. Its fighting type is also useful in certain situations. But fighting types like Lucario also exist, so that's another reason why Samurott could be debated as the best. Regardless though, I would love to see this debate continue in the comments, so feel free to debate amongst yourselves. As far as movesets go for Samurott, we're looking at Surf, Megahorn, Waterfall, and Ice Beam. Surf can be found while naturally progressing through the games. Megahorn can be move relearned. Waterfall is found through game progression as well, being found in Victory Road from N, and the Ice Beam TM can be found in the Giant Chasm. While going up against Drayden though, you will need to use Blizzard in the meantime. For an item, I would give Samurott the Wave Incense. This can be sold to the player from an X-Team Plasma Grunt in Driftvale City. Up next, we literally just talked about this mod. Hello Lucario. Lucario is a pretty obvious choice for any Unova 2 team, because it can literally be found right at the beginning of the game on Flockacy Ranch. Not to mention, you could hypothetically have a Lucario by the time you faced off against Roxy, as mentioned in the Serprior team. Lucario has that dual typing of fighting in Steel, which gives you that immunity going up against Roxy. If you are able to pull off this evolution by then, that victory against her will feel that much more rewarding. Other than that, Lucario has great stats to boot for Black and White too, and it can be used as a mixed attacker. It checks off everything you need for a fighting type Pokemon, plays a big part in the early to mid game, and it will help carry you to the end game as well. Lucario's moveset is going to consist of Aura Sphere, Bone Rush, Swords Dance, and Shadow Claw. Now, for Lucario's fighting stab, Aura Sphere will not be available until level 51, so in the meantime, you'll have to either use Force Palm or Brick Break. Force Palm can be learned via level up pretty early, and Brick Break can be obtained as a TM from the Pokemon World Tournament after obtaining 12 points. The choice is up to you if you want to grind for that though. If not, Force Palm will have to suffice, which is pretty unfortunate. For early Steel Stab, Metal Claw can be used. Bone Rush can be learned at level 29, Swords Dance level 37, and lastly the Shadow Claw TM can be found at the Celestial Tower. For an item, I would give Lucario the Expert Belt, which can be given to the player by an NPC in Driftvale City by showing them a Mon level 30 or higher. Our third member, to the surprise of no one, is Sigilyph. Sigilyph is a veteran Pokemon on this channel, and it has been on several Unova best teams. Though it is not the greatest Pokemon to exist, in either installments of Unova, its diverse typing and move pool, alongside decent enough stats, make it a force to be reckoned with. You can run a lot of options on Sig, but the moveset we're going with is honestly pretty standard to the one I usually go to. Fly, Psychic, Air Slash, and Shadow Ball. Fly is needed, and that can be found on Route 5. Air Slash is learned at level 41, Psychic at 44, and Shadow Ball can be found as a TM in the Strange House near Reversal Mountain. Until you get Air Slash and Psychic, Psy Beam and Air Cutter can be used, which can be learned at really early levels. That's also another really neat thing about Sig, is that its stab options are all learned via level up, and its early kit is really solid. For an item, we're going with the Twisted Spoon, which can be found in the Castelia sewers right when you get to Castelia. So you already have an amped up Psybeam by the time you get it. Sigilyph has never let me down in a playthrough before, and every time I play Unova, it's present like at least 80% of the time. It's fast, hits hard, and has a Swiss Army knife of moves it can use. It is a very underrated Pokemon, and even though I've mentioned it several times, I still feel it needs to get more love. We're gonna make this next section a tad shorter than the others, because everyone at this point pretty much knows Krookodile is gonna make this team. It's got good stats to boot, solid typing of Ground and Dark, and is probably this team's MVP as usual. It's a mon that speaks for itself, carrying you through the mid game all the way to the end game. Its moveset is Crunch, learned via level up, Earthquake, also learned via level up, Rock Slide can be found in Mistralton Cave as a TM, and Toxic can be found in the Seaside Cave as a TM as well. For abilities, you can't go wrong with Intimidate or Moxie. I've used both, and they're both really solid, so it comes down to what you want. I personally like Moxie a little more, but Intimidate definitely isn't a wrong answer. For the item of choice, it's using the Soft Sand. This can be found in the Desert Resort right when you get there. So, you're already going to have a stronger ground stab by the time you get to Elesa. For help against Elesa's Emolga, Rock Tomb can be found in the Relic Castle. At the penultimate spot, it's gonna be Galvantula. I think Galvantula is the best electric mon you can use in either installment of Unova. You can grab Joltik right before your face-off against Skyla in the Charred Stone Cave. It can be evolved relatively quickly, and the best part is it comes with Compound Eyes, which means Stab Thunders are literal nukes and are pretty much never missing. Plus, its bug typing helps out with Grimsley and Caitlyn. Galvantula's moveset is going to consist of Thunder, Bug Buzz, Thunder Wave, and Energy Ball. Thunder can be bought as a TM from the Lockanusa Pokemon Center. Until then, I would use another Electric Stab in its level up pool. Bug Buzz is learned via level up pretty late, so I would use Signal Beam in the meantime. That can be learned earlier. Thunder Wave can be bought as a TM from the Nimbasa Pokemon Center, and Energy Ball can be found as a TM via surfing next to the player's house. As for Galvantula's item, I would give it the Magnet. That can be found inside of Chartstone Cave. And for our last member, though out of chronological order, it's gonna be Arcanine. Growlithe can be found in the Verbank Complex right before Roxy, and the Firestone to evolve it can be found in the Desert Resort. Realistically, you can get Arcanine extremely early, but I would personally wait until at least level 34, because that is when it gets Flamethrower and Extreme Speed upon evolution. While we're on that subject, its moveset is going to be Flamethrower, Extreme Speed, Bulldoze, and Thunderfang. Flamethrower and Extreme Speed I've already explained. Bulldoze can be earned as a TM from Clay, and Thunderfang can be move relearned. I will of course also leave you guys a video in the description below of where to find heart skills. For abilities, I would find a Growlithe with Intimidate, as I find that to be way more useful than Flash Fire. As for items, I would go with the Rocky Helmet to help with its Intimidate ability. That can be found in the Relic Passage. The Arcanine line will help out immensely in the early game. With the help of Intimidate, plus its coverage moves, and priority with Extreme Speed, I can see it helping in clutch moments in the mid to late game as well. Arcanine is called the legendary Pokemon for a reason, you know. For an HM user, I would use Meryl. Meryl gets access to all the HMs you're going to need for the most part, and you also find it really early in game as well. And there you have it, another best team down the hatch and remastered. I really like how this team turned out, and I'm pretty confident it will give Unova 2 a pretty good run for its money. What'd you guys think though? Was this team pretty good? Let me know your thoughts down below. A month back, we created the best team for Pokemon Black and White 2, and I'd say it was fairly successful. Today, we'll be starting this journey in Unova with our best team for Serperior, where we'll see what types of improvements we can make to completing this generation's games. As per usual, we'll be banning things like version exclusives and trait evolutions in an effort to make this as compatible with whichever version you're playing as possible. But otherwise, as long as the Mon is allowed before the Elite Four, including legendaries, we'll be allowing it for contention on this team. We'll also be providing where to find said Pokemon, movesets, abilities, and items if applicable. With that said, let's hop into Serperior. Of course, our starter is going to end up being Snivy. Snivy is definitely a Pokemon you're investing into for the long haul, because its early game is certainly rough, struggling against gyms like Roxy and Berg. Though, thankfully, once you reach Alesa, outside of your matchup in the Skyla, we actually have a Serperior that should be able to take on a majority of your later game matchups. Featuring moves like Coil, Leaf Blade, Aerial Ace, and Strength, this gives Serperior a strong option to take on most of your late game. Strength is here, mostly to handle any random grass resistances, as outside of steel types, you should be able to utilize this move into most of your resistances for your main stab. This should also help traversing the in-game, giving you one less HM you need to find a random HM travel partner for. Also, you don't really need to go out of your way to get anything for this moveset, thankfully, which is a big deal considering later options on this team's movesets. Serperior learns both Coil and Leaf Blade through level up, while you'll get Strength from the Castelia sewers from Hugh, and Aerial Ace you'll find in Mistralton City. For your item, we're gonna go with the Leftovers, which you can get from Castelia sewers once you get access to Surf. We'll need to get something strong for the early game to help assist our Snivy and Servine, since they will struggle quite a bit in our first few important fights. So we'll be heading over to Flockacy Ranch to get ourselves a Riolu. Riolu is going to truly be the perfect Snivy partner, because once you evolve it, you get an immunity to Roxy, while also being able to sweep through plenty of enemies due to its powerful coverage moves in these games. Evolving Riolu early might be tedious, but the investment is well worth it when you're going to have a fully evolved Mon before even getting to the second gym. Just run around a lot and make a save right before it levels up. Keep running around and saving every once in a while, and it'll eventually evolve. I think it should roughly take 30 minutes to an hour of extra running around. If it is too tedious for you, you could capture a temporary fire type in the Verdant complex. For its moveset, we'll be going with Bone Rush, Close Combat, Swords Dance, and Shadow Claw, as this gives us pretty much perfect coverage into all of our boss fights in these games. While you're waiting to teach Lucario Shadow Claw, which you'll get from Celestial Tower, you can teach it Metal Claw as a strong enough option. But Shadow Claw will be helpful to give Lucario a chance at being useful for Caitlyn if necessary. Thankfully, the rest of the moveset you actually get from leveling up, as long as you evolve in time for Bone Rush at level 19. Lucario's item will be the Expert Belt, as most of your moveset should deal super effective damage to enemies. And you can get this item easily by going to Driftvale and showing the man at the market a level 30 or higher Pokemon. Lucario and Serprior should give you a really powerful starting lineup on their own, and it opens up room for a more diverse set of encounters later on as well. We'll need a really good fast Pokemon for this team that can feature more utility roles, and the best one here will easily be Crobat. We'll get our Zubat early on in Castelia's sewers, which will help a lot once we get it to at least a Golbat before taking on Berg. Crobat's final moveset is going to consist of Acrobatics, Cross Poison, Fly, and Toxic. Fly, we thankfully get from Bianca on Route 5. Acrobatics can be learned via level up at 33, or it can be obtained as a TM from Skyla. Cross Poison is a move relearn, so you'll need heart skills in order to get that. The move relearner is available at the Pokemon World Tournament in Driftvale City. I will leave you guys a video in the description below of where to find heart skills in Black and White 2. Lastly, Toxic is a TM that can be found in the Seaside Cave, slightly outside of Undella Town. For Crobat's item, we'll get the Black Sludge from Castelia's sewers in the spring or summer. Or you can give it a Poison Barb, which you'll get from Route 22. Continuing our journey, we'll be heading over to the desert routes to get our Sandile, which will definitely be very helpful. Krookodile's dark and ground typing is going to be truly invaluable, and it will probably become your main answer to most enemies for the gyms coming up outside of Marlin. With a moveset of Crunch, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Toxic, Krookodile will always find a way to put in some work for you on your journey. Earthquake and Crunch will be level up moves for Krookodile, with Rock Slide being in Mistralton Cave. Toxic is in the Seaside Cave, which I previously mentioned. You'll need to get yourself a Soft Sand for Krookodile to fire off its best damage with Earthquake, which you can get from the Desert Resort as well, allowing you to take the best advantage out of this team's arguably best Pokemon. So far, we have a lot of powerful offensive options, and the team won't be settling down anytime soon. While you're going through Charredstone Cave to fight Skyla, you should take a second to catch yourself a Joltik, which can evolve into the powerful Galvantula. Galvantula will need to have Compound Eyes for its best moveset, which will feature Thunder, Bug Buzz, Volt Switch, and Energy Ball. We'll have Volt Switch's TM by this point from Elesa, while Bug Buzz we can just get from level up, meaning we just need to get TMs for Thunder and Energy Ball. Thunder we can buy in Locanosis Town Pokemart thankfully, while Energy Ball you can get via surfing by going to the pond behind your house in Aspertia City. Galvantula will be a big reason this team can handle Skyla, as it'd be your hardest gym in the late game for the previous 4 members to handle. And just to make sure this is as easy as possible, make sure to get yourself the Magnet item while you're in Charredstone Cave. For our final member of the team, we'll need a Surf Pokemon, which is going to end up being Starmie. Unfortunately though, we'll need to get a Surf Pokemon to actually catch this Staryu on Route 13. Because of this, we'll actually need to get an Azurill in Flockacy Ranch while getting our Riolu, which will learn Surf and Waterfall to utilize for any HMs we need used. Starmie will eventually learn Surf as well, since it's just a strong water type attack anyway. Its other 3 moves will be Stab Psychic, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam. You can get Psychic on Route 13 while catching your Staryu anyway, while Thunderbolt you'll get from Victory Road after defeating Hugh. As for Ice Beam, you can get that in the Giant Chasm. Because Thunderbolt and Ice Beam are so late, you can use Blizzard and Thunder as placeholders, both of which are available in Locanosa Town. but I recommend eventually dropping both moves due to their low accuracy. You will have to use Blizzard for Drayden though. Your item is going to be the Mystic Water, which you can get from a fisherman on Route 4 while you go catch your Sandile. The only thing you'll need to get before catching your Staryu is your Water Stone, which you can get really early on Route 19. So just make sure to save this until you get your Staryu later on. While there are plenty of other late game options you can add, including some legendaries such as the Swords of Justice, I think for this particular team, these are your strongest options. For legendaries, I almost threw Terrakion on over Lucario, but I figured Lucario just barely beats it out in terms of coverage for your later battles. And the Steel typing, even as a defensive addition, helps quite a bit because of how overpowered Steel was defensively in these games. I think this truly is going to be your best team for beating Black and White 2 in the modern day for Serperior, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. So let me know what types of Pokemon I missed out on, or that you'd want to use with Serperior in the comment section below. Also remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe so you don't miss any more best teams like this. With that said, I'll see you guys next time.